Can anybody explain to me how one of the lowest rated umpires in all of Major League Baseball, in this era of instant replay and constant evaluation, retains his job since 1999? How is this possible? He really, front and center, was one of the worst credible guys in the game. Shame on the umpires union for allowing this situation to exist for so long. Went back and did some checking. He held his job despite incompetence, despite mistakes, despite having all his plays overturned in the most important time of the year. And then he turned around and he sued baseball twice for discrimination because he was not promoted to be a crew chief. He was not given assignments like All-Star games, playoffs, and World Series. Both court cases got thrown out of court in the Court of Appeals. And yet he maintained his position. And here's the umpires union umpiring the integrity of the game, allowing this guy to keep the job while keeping qualified men and women who are in AAA baseball, living low pay, bad travel, crummy lifestyle with the hope of getting to the show, blocked by that guy. And you could say the media was unfair. You could say the fans are unfair. Video replay does not lie. I went back and checked on background on him. He had, in the most important time of the year, playoff series, Cleveland-Boston, American League Championship Series, he had 3 blown calls at first base, overruled in a 4-inning span in the playoffs. And yet he retained his job. Another time, he had 3 replays overruled in 1 Yankee playoff game. And yet he was allowed to do this. And he had a quick trigger finger. He threw guys out in the first batter of a game. He threw managers out on the first pitch of a game. You talk about ego, just completely out of control. And then eventually they stopped giving him assignments, marquee assignments. Yeah, he could umpire the Kansas City Houston game, on week 8 of the season. Didn't have any bearing on anything, but he got no choice assignments. He sued. He lost the lawsuits. He appealed twice. Court of Appeals threw them out. Why did baseball allow this to happen? This is a terrible thing, but in my heart, they refused to fire him in what I would view as reverse discrimination because he was Cuban and his last name ended in a Z. And they were not going to toss a Hispanic overboard because then they'd get sued for reverse discrimination. But they practiced reverse discrimination. Do you know how many good umpires are stalled at AAA? Because guys like that. And the video does not lie. Yeah, that's the biggest issue of all. So he woke up 2 months ago and said, I don't enjoy this anymore. And he got berated. I mean, social media just skewered him nonstop. Fans skewered him. The media skewered him, deservedly so. So I'm just shocked that MLB would allow this go on and the umpires union would protect him through all the incompetence. And John Riley says,
well, he's been a joke for a long time. I mean, he is the stereotype, the guy you think of about horrible umpires. And you're right. But the part of the story that I was surprised by is that he has had a legal feud with Major League Baseball. So maybe they were afraid to fire him, regardless of racial issues, that this guy might be wanting to litigate more. And it was just easier to keep him at arm's length. But it's also surprising if the umpire union is protecting him. That's weak sauce right there. Now, what's the process about how AAA umpires can move up, and can MLB umpires be demoted and go down to AAA?
They usually don't fire them. They tell them to retire, and a bunch do. And there is a cyclical turnover of major league umpires, and therefore they get pulled up from AAA. They get pulled up in vacation relief in AAA. Job of an umpire is long and it's lonely. You're on the road a lot. And you have no family with you, and you just have the umpires. You have no camaraderie. There's no teammates to go hang with. So it's a tough, tough job. But for him to maintain his position for that long and block men and women in the minor leagues at AAA, because it is a progression going from the New York Penn League to the Pacific Coast League to getting in the show, I think it's terrible. That's one story in baseball.